Not only do you have the Nuragique towers, megalithic towers in Sardinia, you also have what are called to this day the tombs of the giants. And the tombs of the giants in Sardinia are megalithic tombs. And they're shaped, I did a film on all this, by the way, when I was working with Steve Quayle at Gen 6 Productions. We produced a film where we feature all these testimonies that I'm telling you. And the film is called Holocaust of Giants, and you can probably still find it somewhere. But at the time, when I was investigating these tombs, I thought that they were shaped in the form of a bull's head. And this is what I say in the film. They're shaped in the form of a bull's head. And indeed, they look like a bull's head. But it occurred to me later that they're not shaped like a bull's head. They're shaped like a womb. They're shaped like a womb. And specifically, they're shaped like a uterus with the fallopian tubes. So you can imagine both, like a bull's head, but I think more accurately, a uterus. And why were these tombs shaped like a uterus? Well, the answer is because they were used specifically for a particular rite of passage by the Nuragic people. And the rite of passage is referred to today as the rite of incubation. The rite of incubation. And so you can imagine why they would shape the tomb like a uterus, because there were young people incubating. In other words, it was like a birth was going to happen. It was a rite of passage, like a rebirth, like a new birth. And the purpose of the ritual was that these young people would go into the tomb, because in these tombs, there's a few different kinds of tombs in Sardinia, but what they all have in common is a gallery. They have this internal gallery, and then they have like imagine the shape of the uterus, which looks like the bull's head with the fallopian tubes coming out, and then the gallery is inside of this megalithic tomb. And there's a little doorway. Sometimes there's like a stellée, like a large stone with a little doorway cut into it. It's almost like a little doggy door, right? And then sometimes there's a trilithon door. It's actually megalithic stones. And it's a trilithon door, but with a small doorway to where you have to stoop down to get into it. But the stellée doorways, like the little doggy doors, are very small so that only very young people could get into them. Like we're talking, teens or preteens. Whatever the coming of age was to the Nuragic people, obviously these guys were pretty young. These boys were pretty young, probably in their early teens. And the rite of incubation involved either one or multiple of these young people crawling into the tomb through the opening. And these tombs, in my opinion, at least some of them were likely mounds. They were likely covered with earth. So that would have looked like a mound. And the young person would crawl into the tomb, and then the tomb would be sealed for a certain amount of time, and that young person would incubate in the tomb. Now, there's probably a couple things going on here. Probably there may be psychedelic substances involved in this. I don't know if that's the case or not. But what I do know is that they're not just in there incubating in a tomb to communicate with their ancestors. They incubate in the tomb to communicate specifically with the mighty ones who are buried beneath the tomb. They're there to communicate with the spirits of dead Nephilim, dead Rephaim, who are buried beneath the tombs, not in the tombs, beneath the tombs. And a lot of archaeologists today will scoff at the notion that the tombs of the giants were built for giants. Well, in one sense, they're correct. The tombs of the giants weren't built to house the bodies of the giants, although they are big enough to do so. I measured them myself. The giants were buried beneath the tombs so that the galleries were built on top, and the young people could go in and incubate with the spirit of the giant. These things were potentially factories for demon possession. That's one way to look at it. You go into the tomb, you get possessed by a spirit of a Nephilim, the spirit of a dead giant, which are the possessing spirits according to the scriptures, and you come out demonized. Or it could be that you're just trying to communicate with your mighty ancestors, the giants, and somehow be imbued with their prowess, their power, their strength and capability in battle, and so forth.